Hey guys, welcome to another live show, another live She Knows Arsenal. Make sure you guys are, why does it look like that? I hate that it shows it like this. Full screen. No, I don't want it like that. I just don't want you guys to see me. Womp womp. Wompity womp, womp womp. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another live show, another live She Knows Arsenal. Make sure you guys are liking the video and subscribing to the channel. And most importantly, getting into the chat and letting me know what you guys are thinking about this most recent Arsenal transfer news. More transfer news. I don't know what's going on, but now I can't even keep up. I can't even keep up anymore. We're just putting out bids or just sending proposals. We're just bringing in more and more and more and more and more players. So we definitely need to talk about it. So yeah, but I do want to say that I am so rattled, bro. I shouldn't be. I shouldn't be. I shouldn't be. But I'm rattled. I'm not gonna lie. Watching that game, you just knew it. When they brought the kid on, I just was like, he's going to fucking score, isn't he? Because Liverpool always get their fairy tale. They always get their fairy tale. They never have to hold it. You know, Newcastle, whether they had 11 men or 10, were the better team. They had so many chances. They came back from 2-0 down just to let the child score. And I'm just sick to my back teeth. I am sick to my back teeth of them just fuck, so if you're like, Jess, why do you look so rattled? It's because I am. And I fear if we do not beat them, nobody else can, because I just don't see how they're going to drop points because they just kind of seem to be able to do whatever, so, they sicken me. As time goes on, I'm starting to really, really dislike them. But anyways, Arsenal have made a proposal for Arnau Martinez that plays for Girona. And this came out like literally as that game was ending. And I was like, we have to talk about it. But yeah, let me actually read some of your guys' comments first. So just in case you guys said something about Liverpool, we can kind of chit chat about that super quick and then move on to the player. Let's see. We have to handle them ourselves on Sunday. It's difficult depending on others because they never come through. They never come through. Early in the season, I couldn't really care. Man, they were so close. I thought it was going to be Harvey Elliott. Then the boy scored. Sick. I hate Newcastle, but I wanted that garbage Liverpool not to win. Oh, and fuck Liverpool. This must also mean White's injury is long-term. We're going to talk about that. Full credit to the Cronkies. They have put their money where their mouth is. Unprecedented window. I think I want us to slow down, not an emotional I'm familiar with. After the performance Girona put in versus Villarreal this weekend, I don't want any of their defenders prefer Hincapié. I don't think this has anything to do with Hincapié. Or Hincapié or what hiccups. Berta is a gangster. Consider right now how incompetent Edu was. This must mean that we have some sales actually lined up, sales plural, surely. What's going on? And S says can't keep up with the players we are signing. So how do I begin? This comes through, and I am over the moon about Piero Hincapié. I actually think it's Hincapié, but I'm actually excited about that signing because I do think it's an upgrade on Kivior, and that makes sense to me. Kivior goes, we replace him with Piero. This, on the other hand, this approach to Girona for Arnau Martinez, the transfer fee is 8 million euros plus 2 million in bonuses included. Now, I don't know like a lot about the player. in the few times that I've like really watched Sharona, he looks like a good player. But all I can really think is that this must mean that Ben White is out longer than we think. That's my initial feeling when this is coming through. Um, I haven't gotten a chance to like do a deep dive on the player, to be honest, but I know some people have. And so if you want to look at Ben Madsen, you want to look at Remedy, both of them have put out their thoughts on the player. And for the most part, he's a good player. But yeah, the only thing I can think of is that we're trying to find a cut price option to replace Ben White because his injury must be more severe. That's the only reason why you'd want a right back. And I think I should have said this before because I can see people panicking in the group in the chat. He is a right back. He's a right back. So think about what it's like. It doesn't have anything to do with Saliba. He's a right back. It doesn't have anything to do with Piero. He's a right back. Who is a right back? Who is not playing? Who is not on the bench against Leeds? And Arsenal don't have the ability to, or don't have the leeway to leave Timber out to dry. Now, Mascara can play there, but obviously there's a big difference between Mascara and Ben White. He is a right back. He's not a right back? Okay. So what is he then, since you know what he is then? Because to my knowledge, he is a right back. So if you know what he is, then say what he is. Because if you look at his FB ref, it says fullback, right-footed, defender, fullback, right. So he's a right back. And so I think that this might just be some sort of stand-in for Ben White. That's what my gut is telling me. I don't know how long he'll be out. I don't know if he will be out. That's just what my gut is telling me. So yeah, but what do you guys think? You know, because he's definitely just looks like somebody that's going to be coming in. Like, it's not a big fee. It's not anything substantial. So it doesn't look like it's somebody that's coming in to play a big role. But he's definitely looks like he's, you know, somebody that we're looking at. Zinchenko on the right. Let's see. Big up Jess. Hell no, just get Fofana. Don't need 50 defensive covers. Well, if Ben White is out for a significant amount of time, you would need to replace him because one of our most important players needs protecting. So I'm not quite sure how anybody could make an argument around not. Earlier this morning, people were trying to make an argument for not replacing Kivior because we have too many defenders. Now people don't want to, you know, have somebody step in for Ben White if he's maybe out for a long period of time. I don't really understand how anybody can make an argument against making sure that we replace players that are not, you know, are leaving and or going to be injured when Timber is coming back from a long-term injury. Gabriel is coming from a long-term injury. Calafiori is, you know, injury prone. I really don't understand how anybody can make an argument right now about not making sure that we have the same amount of defenders that we have now. I really don't, because all it's going to take is 2 injuries, and we've seen that we had 2 injuries to starters in one game. So I really don't understand how anybody's making these arguments that we don't need. If Ben White, I don't think we would be doing this if somebody is not injured, you know? So I don't know how you can make the argument. I don't. If Ben White is significantly injured, we obviously need defensive depth. That's what I'm saying. I just don't see, I personally do not, if you can, for the people that are like, we don't need him, can you make an argument for why we have enough? because even with Mascara, he's actually cover for Saliba and Gabriel. So if Gabriel goes down, or Saliba, then Mascara is going to be used for one of those positions. Then what? So you make it make sense. If White is out for long, makes sense to have a replacement lined up. I don't get why people are getting worked up on this. I think what it is people are thinking again that we're looking at defenders instead of attackers. But at this stage, because we've spent a lot, we haven't really sold any, and we have brought in 2 level raisers in attack. We've bought when Piero is done, we will have bought like 8 players. So I'm kind of like, I get that you guys want an attacker, and so this isn't like exciting, but literally unless Martinelli goes, that's not going to happen. And we just got Eze. We just spent 60 million on Eze. So at some point, we need to maybe get out of dreamland just a little bit and come back to reality. The fee attached to this says stopgap. It says cut price quick thing, to just make sure that we're not short because something has happened. That's what this says to me. I don't think it's anything to get significantly worked up about. And, Manchester City were having major problems trying to get Tino Livramento out of Newcastle earlier on in the window. What makes you think that you're going to show up 5 days before the window is ending and pluck one of their best players out of their team when they're already in dire straits? We have to just be realistic for 5 seconds. If Ben White is out and we need to cover him, we just need to bring in somebody that's solid cover to kind of make sure that Timber doesn't get ran into the ground. That's really all we really need. The fee attached to it is not significant. It's not going to keep us from being able to move him on in the future or whatever. But this feels stopgappy. And that's probably just about what we need. Arteta has run these players into the ground. Now they're physically cooked. I think the attack is more of an issue if we get the guy we are linked with earlier. We are stocked in defense. Not mad if we get him, though. Not on the left-hand side. Like, Piero is Piero's not going to help you on the right at all. So I kind of get what you're saying, but I don't know. Is anybody thinking that our attack is still an issue, or do we just want more? Because I kind of feel like we've added a top quality striker and we've added Eze and we have Madueke stepping in for Saka. So maybe I'm missing something, but I don't think our attack is an issue right now. I think we just want more. But yeah. Yeah, I don't know. We need a superstar attacker. Is Eze not a superstar attacker? We literally just signed Eze like 2 seconds ago. How is the feeling on the attack not changed? Like with Eze, I don't really understand that. Eze is a superstar attacker. Like, whether he's a true left wing or not, he is a superstar attacker, and he's going to be playing off of the left, which you guys know that. So, yeah. Let's see. We should get Thomas Frank, or if Arteta leaves. He's not leaving. The left winger market is dead. Leao and Rodrygo ain't leaving. How do you think offense is more stacked than defense? I don't get it. I don't think the offense is more stacked than the defense. I'm just saying that it feels strange to be having the same conversations about the attack, and some people's opinions on the attack has not changed since Eze has been signed, which kind of just feels like people are maybe just wanting more, which I understand. You're always going to want more. There's always ways to improve the team, but like, we literally have done so much in this window. I'm not really understanding at this stage. Let's see. Hincapié was the Hato alternative. The news comes from a dicey source. Can't take it serious at the moment. Santi J is not a dodgy source in any way, shape, or form. I always tell you guys this as well. Like, it's not about where they write their stuff at, it's about who. And Santi J is pretty reliable. So I would imagine that he has a pretty good source on that. So we'll see if anybody else comes out and confirms it. But yesterday, there were some maybe not so credible people talking about the Hincapié stuff, only for Ornstein and Fabrizio to jump on it 12 hours later. So, Santi J is really not like some sort of bum. Um, he's really not. So yeah. Personally, I don't rate Noni and Martinelli, so I'd say it's more of a quality issue. But again, you just got Eze. Are we incapable of accepting that Eze is probably going to play a role on the left-hand side? And so you don't see a left wing still because Eze is definitely going to play somewhere on the left. So, yeah. My bad. I thought you referred to Hincapié as a right back. I was in an alternate universe for a minute there. No, he's on the left. This is worrying from the Ben White point of view, but I'm glad the club is acting. I feel like that's kind of where I'm at. I mean, I'm concerned about the Ben situation because he's the one that was out and we didn't get any sort of like word or anything about how long or anything like that. And then all of a sudden this is being linked. Let's see how this goes, but I would prefer the club to be proactive as well. If they're concerned about Ben White's fitness, let's not risk Timber banking on somebody's fitness. Let's make sure we have somebody there to protect Timber, because if you bank on White and then White goes down, and then as a result, Timber goes down, then we're going to be wondering why we didn't act in the window. So anything we can do within these next 5 days to ensure that the team is more than capable to compete, we have to make it happen. And yeah, Kivio are leaving Nzini and White injured long term, I reckon. Just talk about the 25-man squad limit and the homegrown rule. Maybe this will help people to understand there is a limit to the amount we can sign. Yeah, I mean, there's the 25-man limit. The homegrown thing always kind of confuses me, but I just think that, like, of course, there's always going to be something that you can improve your squad. I don't think I've ever seen anybody say, you know what, we have the perfect team. So, of course, I do feel like whether it's this window or the next window, we do need to address left wing and bring in a left wing. But do I think that what we've done up to this point is not good enough to do the things that we want to do? No, I do think the things that we've done up until this point are more than good enough for us to do what we want to do. Liverpool's team is not perfect. Man City's team is not perfect. And so I'm not going to begrudge the club for not getting a left wing when all I really asked for was 2 level raisers. And I understand that, as much as people are trying to pretend like Eze can't play off of the left, he quite literally did it for Crystal Palace. He does it differently than the touchline wingers that we've had, but we're gonna make it work. We're just gonna be running back the recipes that we were doing with ESR. ESR was not a winger, and he played left wing for Arsenal just fine. So to me, it's of course, like, I feel differently now that Eze is signed, and I'm not really still in the same headspace of if we don't get a left wing, it's all done. Like, it doesn't feel like that anymore. But going back to this, it's not that the club is focusing on fullbacks when they need to be buying an attacker. We all should understand at this point that they have spent a lot of money up front without selling anyone. And at some point, you are going to get to the point where you need to pull somebody out, or sell somebody in order to bring somebody else in. And unless Martinelli goes, nothing is going to happen. So Arsenal have done a hell of a lot without any sales, so yeah, I just kind of feel like people are being a little bit, maybe, I guess I kind of understand because we haven't done well in past windows, but maybe a little bit unrealistic about um how many um how many players we're actually going to sign in in this window. Toby says if Eze plays left wing, he would be better alongside Calafiori. Do we have to rely on Ethan if Odegaard is injured, since Eze will play left wing? Hoped we'd ease him in. He's still quite young, though he's quality. I don't see any reason not to play Ethan, but I'm also in the mindset of, the team that we're going to be putting out there should be more than good enough to have a 17, 18-year-old out there playing with them of Ethan's standard and be able to win games. And there's no point in doing the big song and dance about him being Odegaard's backup and giving him this big contract just to, at the first sight of Odegaard not playing, us trying to do something else to keep him out of the team because we don't trust him. So you play Ethan. As good as Liverpool are, you saw today and you saw against Bournemouth, that as good as they are, they're not the type of team that you need to be perfect to get something against. So if you have Ethan out there, I don't see why we would just lose the midfield battle and it's just going to be over. It's not like they have behemoths in there. So yeah, I think you do have to trust Ethan at some point, or it's just all bullshit. It's just chat. It's not real. Either you really rate him and he's Odegaard's backup or he's not. That's how I feel about it. We should be signing Semenyo. I feel like the reality about Semenyo is he signed a new deal, and even before he signed a new deal, they were quoting Premier League teams 70 million for him. I think it's already been said by multiple people, Fabrizio Romano and Ben Jacobs, he's not leaving in this window. And this is also why I'm kind of like, okay, yes, we need a left wing, but realistically, 5 days out, who is going to allow a player that they really need in their team to leave right now if they can't replace them? That leaves the Leaos, the Semenyos, these types of players. They're not leaving their club now. So unless Martinelli goes and we have something lined up, we're probably not going to get a left wing in this window. And again, we've added so much to the team that we may not have the perfect team, but there's nothing inherently wrong with this team right now. There's ways that we can make it better, but it's not tore down. White has been really injury prone. I don't mind being proactive with Arnau. Also, 10 million is peanuts. Yeah, I think maybe it falls into the category of the Mascara, Norgard, more in the Mascara. I'm going to say actually in the Mascara lane. I don't want to say he's like a Kepa or anything like that, because I mean, he's 22 years of age. He's 22 years of age. He might be Girona's captain. So, he's not like a child in any way, shape, or form. But he I feel like this would be more in the Mascara category of signings, where it's kind of like an under the radar type of thing for a young player, not that expensive. Berta really knows La Liga very well, so he knows where to look, what nooks and crannies to look in to find these kind of deals, which we'll probably need, because after everything that we've spent, unless somebody goes, whoever we bring in, it's going to have to probably be on a smaller fees, especially if it's not in a position that we were expecting to upgrade upon in this window. And I don't think right back was one of them. So this might just be a little bit of like a insurance policy just in case Ben White is out. Fofana is just 35 million. Come on, Berta, please. I still think Martinelli needs to go. What's going to happen with Gabby Jesus when he comes back? I have no idea. I feel like maybe he'll go in January. Maybe they'll keep him. I think we have a long ways till January, but let's see kind of where we are in terms of injuries and, how we're playing, because let's say that, I don't know how long Kai is going to be out, but let's say Kai is back. We're playing well. Gyökeres is really settled in. All of our wingers are looking good and all that kind of stuff. Then maybe they'd feel comfortable letting him go, or, you know, maybe they'll keep him as another option. Maybe, I don't know, but uh, Gabriel Jesus, I think it all just depends on when he comes back and kind of what kind of shape the team is right now, or is when he gets back in. To sign Fofana, we would have to sell Martinelli, as we are very close to the 25-man squad limit. So far, no one has come in for Martinelli, which exactly, like, I just don't see how we're just going to get someone now. That the get someone was Eze, without having to sell, bringing in somebody for a big fee that was a level raising attacker. That's what Eze ended up being. Like, so the left wing is only going to come in if we're going to sell. And so, yeah, Berta ain't playing games. He's making sure AFC have adequate depth, which I really care about, to be honest. I'm not like an expert on Arnau. He's not somebody that I know like the back of my hand or anything like that, but Berta knows La Liga very well. And I know Girona's not in the best form or whatever, but he would know what level this player is at. I mean, Zubamendi was playing in a really bad Sociedad team, so bad that people could not see his quality. Now they see his quality. So if we end up bringing him in for this cheap fee, great. But I hope that it's just an insurance policy and Ben's not out for a long time. But I just have this feeling that maybe it's a little bit of that. We'll see. Martinelli could do well in a less physical league as a center forward for a counterattacking side. And it just goes to show that putting players on big contracts was a mistake because we can't sell them. Edu incompetence exposed by Berta. We fear no one. It's our time. Who the fuck is that guy? Can we compare the quality and depth, attack, and defense? I think the defense is better. Yeah, I think our defense is still better. But we've been working on our defense for a lot longer. This is the first window that we've actually prioritized attacking quality. So I wouldn't really expect us in one window be able to, like, we're looking at quality option depth in defense now, not even starters. Like, the starters are pretty much set. We bought them, but we're bringing in guys like Mascara and Piero, Hincapié or whatever his name is, to just make it stronger. The attack needed to get attacking starters in. So I don't really expect our attack to meet up with our defense in the first window where we actually decide to prioritize it. But I don't feel like we have as big of an attacking issue as we did before. And we also need to allow the attackers that we brought in to gel with the attackers that we have before we throw a verdict out there, because they literally just got here like 5 minutes ago. Or maybe Arteta should play Martinelli more to his strengths, since we are likely going to keep him around. Wouldn't be surprised if he started against Liverpool. How old is he? 22. So he's not old. He's not like some old guy that we're trying to get on a free or anything like that. He's a young player. And maybe this has something to do with Ben, maybe it doesn't, but it's a huge if. We don't know yet, but I would only imagine that we would look to do something like this, which looks kind of like an emergency type of situation, if Ben was maybe not as fit as he needed to be. He is a good potential right back, but I don't see why we would get him unless we have someone leaving or somebody is seriously injured. In Capier, I can understand, since Kivior and Zinni are likely to go, which that's why I'm saying that we're reading between the lines, and I think you guys are absolutely correct that it doesn't really make sense to go for him unless we're selling somebody or somebody is injured. So maybe the most obvious answer is the right answer, which sometimes that's just how it is. It's maybe Arsenal are making sure that they're not in a situation where they have to rely upon Timber, which I would be my head would be on Pluto if we had an opportunity to bring somebody in this last week and we didn't, and White was injured or carrying something, and we didn't try to do anything, and Timber was just out there flailing. You guys watched Timber the other day. You guys know how serious he is. We have agendas to run, and we can't run them if he's not out there playing because he's being overplayed when he just came back, from a big injury. So, yeah, we if something is going on, we need to make sure that we address it 110%. It just only makes sense. Concerned with the mounting injuries so early in the season. I feel like it's kind of par for the course now with the amount of games that these players are playing and the amount of players that we had that suffered serious injuries early on or later on in the season. I feel like we maybe should have anticipated some of the players that went through those difficult injuries to re-injure or have some muscle injuries. And so it's unfortunate, but that's just kind of how the cookie crumbles. And that's why you have to have a much bigger squad than we've ever had. That's why you need Hincapié. That's why you need Mascara. That's why you need the Medwekis. That's why you need players like that, because you're not going to make it if you don't. So right now is probably the first time in a long time that I felt confident going to Anfield, knowing that we can put in a good performance and hopefully win the game without some of our best players playing in that game. And that's a testament to Berta and what he's done in this window, because a couple seasons ago, even last season, I'm like, we don't have enough. We don't have enough. White has had a lot of injuries. Arnau and Hincapié both feel like proactive signings. That is rare for us. Injuries happen. People need to stop overanalyzing. Next game and then short break, we'll be fine. White seems to have lost his pace. I'm just happy we are having these injuries in the transfer window, which is always a blessing. If we're going to get the injuries, get them while the window is open so that we can maneuver, and obviously you can't plan for everything, and there will obviously be hiccups along the way. And I don't expect only to get injuries during the transfer window, but if you do, then I expect you to try to fix it, unlike what we did last season, which inevitably crippled our season. We made it into 2 semifinals and did not make it to a single final. And I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that there just wasn't like there just wasn't enough depth in the squad. The squad was kind of tired and looked worn out. Let's see. Timber is crucial. If White is out, it only makes sense to have another right back. Arteta, he would, Arteta, he would try to convert a midfielder into a right back. And we saw how that went last season, and we really don't want to have to do that again. So I'm all for going for something like this, whether I rate the player or not, which I cannot give you a solid answer on that right this moment, because I don't know him well enough to give like he's like this, he's like this, he's like this, he's like this. But I would imagine that, Berta knows La Liga enough to know what we need. So yeah, this Liverpool team can't win the league. Our depth was Sterling, which is insane. We ought to sell Sterling to Spurs. I mean, we can't because he's not our player, but I wouldn't mind him going there. Who gets on your nerves more when they compete for the league with them, Man City or Liverpool? I mean, both, because whoever we're going up against is the ops. So they're both annoying, but maybe Liverpool because more of them. Like, I have to sit on panels with Liverpool fans like Hussam and shit. So, and I love Hussam down. Like, don't get me wrong, but it's probably a little bit more annoying because you don't really find that many City fans. So possibly Liverpool, but right now, I don't know if we can't beat them. I don't know who's going to, because they just seem to have a little bit of that lucky magic bullshit. And maybe that's how people felt watching us play against United on the first game of the season and us scoring like kind of like a jammy corner and getting, having so many chances against us and so many, so many shots and walking away with the 1-0. So maybe I can only see it from my perspective and maybe people feel the same way about us, but Today didn't feel very good. I'm not going to lie. I'm very much so head is still on Pluto. I get that no squad is perfect, but why doesn't Arsenal lean more into its attack since you already have bodies in defense, so be slightly short in defense? I mean, it's probably more just to do with the fact that maybe our attackers aren't as injury prone as our defenders, and we have two defenders that are coming off of huge injuries in Gabriel and Timber. Also, White and Calafiori is injury prone. So I just think that Arsenal cannot afford to get down to a point where we're pulling players out of different positions to try to cover the back line. And again, I don't think Arsenal have done anything in this window to suggest that they have not, at least to a certain extent, prioritized the attack. And everybody that we've gotten in defense has made sense. To this point, we've only bought one defender. We have, like, when Hincapié comes in, we'll have two, and maybe this guy as well. But I just think this is a different window, and kind of this idea that we're prioritizing the defense over attack right this moment feels a little bit disingenuous, considering we got a new striker, Eze, and Madueke in one window. We literally bought 3 attackers in one window. So I don't know, but that feels like leaning into the attack to me. But maybe the only way it feels like leaning into the attack to some of you guys is if we just don't buy a right back, if Ben White is potentially injured, leave ourselves short, run Timber into the ground, potentially let him get injured. But, oh, by the way, we bought a left wing. I don't know. I don't think potentially ruining Timber's career is a smart thing, just to show that we're leaning into attack when we bought 3 attackers in this window. I can understand in past windows where we didn't buy any attackers at all, but this is a different window that deserves a different critique than the critique that we've had for other windows. Liverpool in their last 2 games scored 2 and conceded 2 back, but ended up winning because their attack force is very effective, both right wing and left wing. We can't say the same for our club. I mean, we can allow, first of all, can we allow Eze to play a game for us before we decide that our attack is not good? We quite literally just bought a 60 million pound star attacker that anybody would love to have in their team. Kind of confused on, like, why the narrative is still the same about our attack. Is it just because people are emotional watching Liverpool? Because we haven't even seen the best of Gyökeres yet. We haven't even seen Eze in our team yet. So I'm kind of confused on that statement. We can't say the same for our club when, maybe not right away, but you're going to see a wing pairing of Eze and Saka in the near future. I don't get it. I'm genuine, and this is coming from somebody that's incredibly critical and definitely will criticize the club when they're not doing the right thing. But when you just spent 60 million on Eze, I'm finding it really difficult to have the same critiques that I had a couple of, maybe weeks ago. Liverpool is awful. Newcastle played without a striker. There are no easy games in this league. That is true. Just score more than you concede, easy. I mean, we haven't even seen our attack seriously yet. So acting like this is still Kai Havertz and Martinelli and Saka, I feel like is incredibly disingenuous. I'm just going to be honest. Would love to know if there's really a chance to get Rodrygo, because if there is, maybe we don't spend more money on defensive players. Well, what I read today is that he didn't want, he initially told his agents to find somewhere for him to go, but he's spoken to Xabi Alonso and he wants to stay. And again, spending 10 million on this player and replacing Kivior with Piero Hincapié, it doesn't have anything to do with the attack, because we need to sell Martinelli to bring in another attacker. We have spent the ahead of time money that we don't need to sell in order to utilize. How much money do you guys think we can spend? So you guys think we can spend another 100 million on Rodrygo without having to sell anybody? how much further do you think we can go? Rodrygo is going to cost you 100 million and he doesn't want to leave. So I don't really understand. So, and you can't make Martinelli go if nobody wants him. So it's kind of a dead conversation, to be honest. Let's see. Rodrygo ain't going anywhere. Strange. Hot take, 11 plus stoppage time was apt. Let's see. Vinny came on and scored and showed him why he is confined to the bench if he stays. Who is Arnau Martinez just joined? For those of you guys who just joined, Santi J reported this probably right as the game was ending, that Arsenal have made an approach for Girona for Arnau Martinez, who is a right back from, Girona, Spanish. Oh, wait, hold on. I just saw something and it scared the shit out of me. Hold on. Give me 2 seconds. Hold on. Give me 2 seconds. Okay. Oh my God. I just saw somebody post something and it went fast on my timeline, and all I saw is Timber ACL, and my heart dropped. Oh my gosh. I almost needed to find the nearest cliff to jump off of. Oh, but he was just saying the same thing I was pretty much saying, which is Timber has had an ACL and ankle surgery in the last 2 years. Ben White just returned from knee surgery and is still out injured every now and then. It makes sense why we want Arnau Martinez. Woo! Woo! Yeah. Arnau Martinez is not very physical. He will struggle in the Premier League. We don't need Rodrygo. We need Leao or Semenyo. Neither one of those are leaving in this window. Liverpool always get 11 plus minutes when they're trailing or need a win. We never get those types of minutes. Would rather Hincapié and Fofana, especially if Rodrygo's not available. And again, we no matter who the winger is, no matter if it's Fofana or Rodrygo or whoever, you're still going to need Martinelli to go, which I think is, I need everybody to like absorb that, just like that little tidbit that we're not just going to keep adding without having to sell anyone. We've already kind of like exhausted that with bringing in Eze without having to get rid of anybody. So even if Fofana is cheaper, that doesn't mean you're just going to bring him in, and Martinelli's going to be there, and Jesus is going to be there, and Madueke is going to be in there, and Dauman's going to be there, and Kai's going to be on the books. It's not going to happen. So Toby says, don't do that. Like literally, my heart stopped and my ears started ringing because it went, you know how you would open up your app and like you open up X or Twitter or whatever, and then there's something there and then it'll refresh and then it just goes away. That's what happened. And all I saw was Timber and ACL, and it was from one of those aggregators. I swear. Yo, I was like, what? I just have this feeling that Martinelli ain't leaving till he's 30. I'm just excited for Eze. For the first time in a long time, our left-hand side can be utilized as much as our right, which is why I'm kind of surprised that that we're considering the attack the exact same when we know that Eze is coming in and we know he's going to probably play on the wing in some capacity. So saying like, but our wing is we don't have the same attack on the right and the left. Eze is going to play on the left. We already know that. It's been reported. Why are we acting like Eze is not going to uplift our team on the left-hand side? I don't get that. But I do feel like maybe watching Liverpool win that game when we were kind of all hoping that they wouldn't is maybe making people like, not everything is about us. I feel like that's something that I have to learn, is I can't always look at Arsenal through our rivals' eyes. Like I can't be watching Liverpool and watch them win, and then because they won, look at my team, and then all of a sudden they're looking like, like nothing. Like I'm looking at a can of sardines instead of looking at a big juicy steak all of a sudden just because Liverpool won a game. And what happened to let it all work out? Shit. We have to we have and did we actually watch the game as well? Like Liverpool obviously have the ability to win even in difficult situations. And so that's probably a huge strength that they have. That is something that Arsenal need to have that same resilience. But would I be lying? Like, I don't actually think that they were that good today. And there was nothing about their performance today that made me think any differently about going to Anfield and getting something. So, yeah, let's see. Madueke is gonna put Kirkes on skates. It's been a minute since we've been top though. It has been. Imagine if Newcastle had played Isak, disgusting situation. Having Eze and Odegaard starting together will be good for Gyökeres and Saka. There's also just like I even feel like if Eze plays, left wing, that he'll be able to come in and play almost like another number 10, which of course it's like you're on the wing, but it'll add something. He just adds so many different opportunities for us, whether that's playing in the 10, left center mid, left wing, wherever he plays for us. I'm a little bit surprised at like the lack of acknowledgement of how much of a difference that player is going to make for us. It's no surprise why rivals were losing their shit over us getting him, and people are like just ignoring him like he's not going to make a difference because I guess because they watched Liverpool win a game. I don't know. Why are we selling Kivior? Is it because he wants to leave? Yes, he wants to go. Newcastle were by far the better team. Van Dijk is so good about never getting carded and goading the other team to foul him and get carded. I just can't with Liverpool stoppage time winners already. Who is this lad? This is Arnau Martinez, a right back from Girona. And Arsenal are said to have put in a proposal for him. And the transfer fee is 8 million euros plus 2 million euros in bonuses included. And that's all we really know right now. Not quite sure, if, how, like, the likelihood of it happening and all that kind of stuff. But the only thing I can think of is if we're looking at him and we're putting in proposal that maybe there's something going on. Maybe with Ben White or something like that. So yeah. And of course, they're talking about that child, and then all of a sudden they're talking about Dowman as well. Yeah. All right. All right. Also, can both players be good, or does one have to be shit and the other one has to be good? Like, I don't understand. Like, I know that Rio guy is really, really good, but I also think Dowman is amazing. So, you know, let's see. That was a crazy game as a neutral, but I didn't feel as neutral as I wanted to be. I felt like I needed it to be more neutral, but it didn't feel neutral because I think I wanted Liverpool to lose too badly. I was too invested. And so I did the up and down roller coaster where I'm so sorry, but Anthony Gordon, come to the front. Come to the front. How dare you? Idiot. You absolute idiot. Why were you running around like a chicken with your head cut off, running around doing, studs up tackles for no fucking reason? I get it. You're amped up. You're excited. I don't know. Are you an Everton fan or something like that? So maybe that's a part of it as well. You don't like them, like fuck the Reds and all that. But is there nothing going on here? Is it just air? Are there bats flying around in there? What the fuck were you thinking? Hello? Like, it was just mad. It was a straight up red. There was no, it was just the most red that you could ever find. And it was idiotic. And it put his team in a situation where they did not need to be because they were on top. And even when they went down a man, they were still really good. Came back from 2-0 down. And I mean, I think Newcastle fans will feel disappointed, but also really proud of the performance. But what can I do with that? I can't do anything with a good performance. What do I get for sitting there for 100 fucking minutes watching you guys run around and kick shins and shit? I had to watch Joe Linton today, and I got nothing out of it. Anthony Gordon, count your days. Newcastle treated Liverpool like Arsenal. It's going to be another forced derby. Isn't Gordon a Liverpool fan? Would make sense. So he's a Liverpool fan instead of Everton fan, because I was like, the way you're acting like you're an Evertonian. But if you're a Liverpool fan, that's even fucking worse, because hello, are you just throwing the game? Are you okay? Like, what are you doing? Are you trying out? Because that wasn't a good tryout. The Newcastle game showed that we could hurt them at Anfield if we go for it and play. For sure. And Gordon was having a man of the match game in the first half. Yeah, he was playing well, and he was their best attacker, but I do think he was incredibly it wasn't just him. It was multiple players, but they were really wasteful and should have been up. It was like the script was so obvious. Miss a bunch of chances. They come down one time, kick the ball in the back of the net. And it was just like from there, it just spiraled out of control from there. And so, yeah, he was a little bit, he was bright and was doing a lot of really good things, but he undid all of that by getting the red card. And I just found Harvey Barnes to be the most useless player out there, because you can't even one successful take on against Soboslai. Soboslai had a good game, but that's because he went up against somebody as bad as me. You couldn't get past him not one time? Not once? Really? Like, shocker. I do have to say that I thought Alango was quite good. And I also thought, of course, like I always do, Bruno G is a fantastic player. A dick, but a spectacular player. Really, really good. The best player for Liverpool was Soboslai. That was their best player. So, how was Wirtz, the best prem midfielder? Goodness. I mean, stinker and hooked. But, it doesn't really matter. You get away with it when your team wins. But ultimately, I've seen nothing from him he was getting bullied. And to be honest, all of Liverpool was getting bullied. Ekitike was getting bullied, everyone in the first half and most of the game. So, yeah, but Wirtz, we're still watching you. But we'll see what he has for us next week. We'll see. Our wingers need to be on job on Sunday. Liverpool's fullbacks can be got at. And TikTok is a baller. Ekitike is a baller. Probably an unpopular opinion, but I didn't see anything from him outside of a goal. And I know that's his main thing, but he got bullied like everyone else. And he scored a goal when they were a man down, or a man up, but there wasn't really anything that I necessarily saw. But I get that the overarching opinion on socials is that he's shown these levels, but sure, And I didn't come away from that game feeling like Ekitike did anything special in that game, but he did score a goal, which is kind of all that matters. And so in the end of the day, he did his job. Wirtz looked wordless. Newcastle players were very emotional, but nobody will criticize them. Of course not. They're allowed to. And I thought about that too, Blaze, during the game. I was like, it's so crazy how emotional they've been this entire game, and how there was very little said about Gordon and Trippier and all these players just like losing their heads for the entire game. But if that was Arsenal, but the rules are always different for Arsenal. So, yeah, for sure. Bruno G should have been ours, man. I mean, I'm over it now. It took me like 2 years to get over it. I can't lie. But anybody that says that Bruno G is not a fantastic player and one of the best midfielders in the league, I just think they're mad because he elbowed Jorginho in the head. him being a nice guy and him being a fantastic player are two completely different things, and I just think he would have been perfect for us, but that's neither here nor there now because we have Zubimendi and we have Rice, and I'm perfectly happy with both of those players. So, yeah. I see Trossard red card on Anfield. Please, no. He's supposed to be great at link up play, but I didn't see that in this match or the last. He like I'm not even trying to hate. Like I'm really, really not. I do think he's a good player. I just feel like we're being told we need to think that he's been balling out, but I haven't really seen that necessarily. I don't think he did anything today that was baller-esque. Of course, he took his chance well, which is that's really good, but he wasn't beating anyone. His link up play wasn't really there. He was kicking the ball out. It was an ugly win for Liverpool, and all of their players looked poor by their standards. I really don't think that it was anything to write home about, but we're being told that this guy is a baller. So I think we have it's like everybody has to go with it. And he did show good levels in preseason. But do I think that he's been balling out in these first two games? No. Like I said, I think Szoboszlai was their best player today, and by a pretty large margin. Just I'm confused. Are we after Hincapié or this guy? Both. I don't think Hincapié has anything to do with this because one is a left back and one is a right back. So read into that what you will. We've been kind of surmising that maybe it has something to do with Ben White because Ben White was injured and didn't play or suit up for the Leeds game. So maybe his injury is a little bit worse than we feared, or maybe they're just prepping just in case or preparing and being proactive just in case Ben White has some recurring injuries. I don't know, but these two don't have anything to do with each other because one is obviously a replacement for Kiwior and the other one is on the right-hand side. So don't worry about it in that way. Salah had a bad game and still came up with assists, and that's fine. That's fine. I'm not saying that the most important thing in a game is putting the ball in the back of the net and scoring more than your opposition. And Liverpool did that. And so they deserved the win. My way of thinking about football is always that you get what you deserve, what you get in football, because ultimately, even if you were the better side, if you don't put the ball in the back of the net, you do not deserve to win that game. And I think a lot of people play up being the better team, having more shots, having more possession, but if you didn't score more, you did not deserve to win the game. Liverpool deserved to win the game because they put the ball in the back of the net more times than Newcastle. But were they the better team? No. But you cannot go to the bank with the better team trophy. Doesn't mean anything. We've seen many a time the better team come home with nothing. And that's because they did not deserve to win because they didn't score more. And Salah comes up with these types of moments in a lot of big games. And that's what makes him a good player. He doesn't have to play well to get an assist. Ekitike took his goal well. Gravenberch silenced St. James with his goal against run of play. They deserve to win the game. Newcastle were the better team. That's how the cookie crumbles. That's why when Man United were doing up all but we were the better team, I'm like, it doesn't matter because football only cares about one thing, and that's who scores more goals than the other team. That's it. We put the ball in the back of the net. You didn't. So we deserve to win that game. You don't deserve to win if you're the better team. You deserve to win if you put the ball in the back of the net more times than the other team. Rodrygo is going to be benched for a long time. Vinny came up with a goal and an assist in position he wants. I just think I'm off the Rodrygo thing. I've moved on. I don't have time to chase the man. Like I said on Twitter, don't save her. She don't want to be saved. So, yeah, no. I'm not into chasing, if you don't want to leave. Malik Fofana, yeah, you can come, but it all depends on Martinelli and all that kind of stuff. But we'll find our left wing. Do I think it's Rodrygo? No, I don't think he wants it bad enough. We've seen in this window in particular what it looks like when you want to play for Arsenal. We've seen it. Mascara, Gyökeres, Eze, Rodrygo is acting like he wants to get chased. He's like that friend that never comes to the party. Like they never come to your birthday. They never come to, your bachelorette. They never come to anything for you or anything, but they want the invitation just so they can reject it because they're a hoe like that. Like I'm okay on it. I'm good, but if he ends up at Man City, because I think there's still a chance that he could, just because I think there's like a little bit of movement on the bid from Spurs for Savio, and now Man City are more open to moving him on to Tottenham. They're still kind of holding on, but they're more open than they were before. Maybe he can end up at City. And I'm going to be honest, I don't actually think that's what City need to fix the ass whooping that they took from Spurs the other day. Somebody asked what's happening now. Who is this? What's happening? So at the end of the game, Santi J had reported that Arsenal have put in a proposal or put in a bid, proposal, whatever you want to call it, for Arnau Martinez from Girona. And apparently, it's like 10 million for him, euros. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that. But he's a right back. He's 22 years old. I can't really give you a huge like breakdown of what the player's like, but I can only imagine that maybe this has something to do with Ben White, but we'll see. Valeria, I saw your question, and I just want to say, let's not ask questions we know the answer to. I'm going to be watching it, but it hasn't come on yet. It comes on at 6. So in like 2 hours, I'm going to be locked all the way in. I'm ready. I'm so ready. I love my trash. I love my trash TV. And I have so many episodes of like Real Housewives and Big Brother to actually catch up on, and The Challenge. So, but I've been really into my books lately. I know you guys don't care about this, but I've been really into my books lately. And so I haven't really been in a TV watching mood, like outside of footy. But man, tonight, let's really get into it. But he's a 3-time Champions League winner, Jess. Time him what it means to play for Arsenal is not what it is for you. But he's a 3-time Champions League winner, Jess. I mean, but what else do you want? We've probably spoken to him and tried to convince him of the project. And if he doesn't want to come, what else can you do? We can't just act like because somebody's won 3 Champions Leagues that we need to be like begging for him to come if he doesn't want to come. He's not the only player in the world. He's not the only player in the world. He's not the only player that can improve us. He's not the only player that can play on that left-hand side for us. So I get it that we had it locked in our head that it's going to be Rodrygo, but up until this point, he's kind of made no indication that he wants to go. He knows Arsenal will be interested in him. He's probably spoken to Arteta. Gabriel's probably spoken to him. If he's not moving toward us, then we don't need to be sitting around like, oh, Rodrygo, nah, 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 nah. Like, I get it, but I don't know why we're so locked in on him at this stage now. We've been talking about him since before the window, and it was always he's going to talk to Xabi. He needs to make the decision, and he's basically made the decision not to move. So I don't really understand where we're going with the conversation. We have 5 days left in the window, and this guy has been effing around all window. All window. He knows who's interested in him. He knows Liverpool and City and Arsenal are interested in him. He knows. He knows. So, yeah. And this is probably just what it comes down to is I don't want City to get him. Exactly. That's all it really comes down to for people is, yeah, but what if City get him? So we need to be in for him. in the end of the day, unless Martinelli leaves this club, we're not bringing in a left wing. Arsenal made a move for Eze, knowing that they could put a certain amount of money forward for another attacker, and they chose Eze instead of pissing around with Rodrygo. And so we have bought our second level-raising attacker. He may not be a left wing, but Martinelli has not left this club. So if he ends up at City, it's not going to be because we just aren't serious and we just don't want to put 100 million down for him. It's late in the window. It didn't work out. Like, I know that this is mostly what it is if City were not interested in him and you didn't feel like he'd leave Real Madrid, then you wouldn't care. Because there's no way that you've seen what he's done in this window and he's not desperate to leave and he's kind of just playing games. There's no way you'd still be talking about him if you knew that City couldn't. There was no possible way that he could go there. Like, I'm done. We've been talking about Rodrygo since the first day of the window. So Liverpool took Ekitike, probably going to take Isak, and still took 3 points in their ground. Must really sting being a Newcastle fan. Well, that's too bad. I read some stuff before the game started about like the actual like president of the club and like the owners going to Isak's house and trying to convince him to stay. The reality for Newcastle is, after seeing today what they look like, they actually cannot afford to let Isak go because they haven't been able to find a replacement good enough to keep them where they want to be. Newcastle are back in Champions League and they want to go big. They have a state backing them. They're not in a position to bring in Wissa and, whoever, and not have the type of players necessary to move them forward. So there's 5 days left. And I kind of just, unless Newcastle just fold up, they have to figure out a way to convince him to stay at this stage, because especially after now that you've lost to Newcastle or lost to Liverpool, to turn around after you made the statement and knowing that there's no good strikers out there for you to go get, for you to turn around and sell him now would be horrendous. There's no way that from a fan's perspective, I think you could bring, like, they would never forgive you. They'll forgive Isak. If Isak starts training again, comes out on the pitch and scores, they'll forget all about it. Signs a new deal, all that kind of stuff. But if you sell him now after you just lost to Liverpool and then you don't replace properly, because you won't be able to, because there's nobody in the window that could give you a world-class striker like that. Remember, like, Strand Larson is no longer leaving Wolves. They don't want to sell him for less than 70 million, which is insane. Wissa is also more expensive now in the window because Brentford don't want to sell because they're in trouble. They don't have the players there to replace. They don't. So they're in a really precarious situation. I really do think they need to stick to their guns and keep him, get him on a new deal with those release clause and move on. Liverpool were lucky, but also found a way to win. Two things can be true at the same time. I agree with that. That's crazy money for Isak. Newcastle should cash out 130 million for Isak. Grealish has been playing like his old self since the move from City. It's like he's not being restricted to do certain things. Liverpool not lucky. They just find winners. We have to stop that shit. Okay. Did you have the same energy for us? I just want to know, because I've never seen you in the chat before. Did you have the same energy for us when we beat United, or did you criticize our performance? Because one thing I'm not really a big fan of is if Liverpool won and they didn't necessarily play well, but they found a way to win. Arsenal fans have been all over social media talking about how great Liverpool are, and they didn't, they found a way to win. But just a couple of days ago, we found a way to beat Manchester United. We had good performances from our defenders at a bogey ground for us, but there was no credit given, and people were like literally throwing their toys out the pram about our season even though we won a game. So I'd be really interested to know what side of the fence you sit on, because I don't really see that much of a difference between us going to Old Trafford, a place where we usually do not win, playing not so great and getting a win, and Liverpool not playing that good against 10 men and coming out of there with 3 points. Because and I get the media are going to paint it a certain way, which, Johnny says, I've never been on the media, how great Liverpool are, blah, blah. I get that the media is going to paint it a certain way and they would never give us the credit. But as Arsenal fans, did you give us credit for winning a game under difficult circumstances and getting the 3 points? Or did you say that we were diabolically bad and we should have lost and we were lucky? Because you can't do it both ways. Either we both had good wins or we both fucked up and we look like shit and we didn't deserve to win because they weren't good. uh, period. The difference is they done it when it matters, but it's whatever. I mean, they in regards to this season right now, they didn't when it mattered, in past seasons, but we're talking about today, right now, 2025-2026 season. We did it on the first game of the season. They did it in the second match week of the season. So it's not any different in the grand scheme of what we're talking about right now. Of course, like, we're talking about a whole new season now. So today mattered just as much as the game against United mattered. That game mattered too. We played against a top 6 opposition away from home and came away with 3 points, not playing our best. Nothing different. Both games mattered. I've never seen corners being hated like they should be banned from the game because it's us who score them, but United celebrated that own goal a little too much. Feels good to have another way to score goals when you're not really at the races. I know that we maybe at some points during last season maybe over relied on them because we weren't clicking, but genuinely, like, we shouldn't be upset about being good at something, and we shouldn't let rivals make us feel bad about it, because if they could have what we have, they would take it. If they could have what we have, they would take it. And all the best teams in the league, from a set piece perspective, they're all top 6 teams. We're just better at it than they are. So we all emphasize it. We're just insane at it. We're just insane at it. Like, I don't get it. We're all insane at it, period. Like, we're just like, our whole entire team is so insane at it. Like, I don't know what to tell you. I would never give it up. Of course, we have to add the open play and the creating chances. But again, adding Eze and adding Gyökeres, that's going to help us so much, So, yeah, our defense is better than Liverpool's. They've been leaking goals even though they won their matches. And I think the key for us is, I don't think our attack has to be better than Liverpool's. I think it has to be better than what it's been. And what I mean by that is, they didn't need a better defense than us to beat us to the title. Our biggest issue is not so much that our attack needs to be better than Liverpool's. Our attack needs to be better than what it has been in the last couple of seasons, meaning not losing points to West Ham at home, not dropping points to Aston Villa, not going away to, St. James and not being able to muster a shot, things like that. And as long as we can do those things and add it to our defense, we have a very real chance of winning things. But I think some people feel like we need to have the best of both. And that's definitely not true, because we had a better defense than Liverpool last season and it didn't mean shit. So as long as we can make sure that we beat the small teams and we are more dangerous in big games that are tighter away from home, like the Etihad, Anfield, St. James, we'll do what we need to do. But yeah, 100% just hate watching Liverpool find those winners gutted. 100%. Watching our rivals get stuff sucks. Like, it just does. Like, I hated it. I hated every minute of it. I hated every minute. Oh, here we go. So just for everybody that's still talking about it, Breaking, Rodrygo goes is staying at Real Madrid, decision made, saga over. What fucking saga? What saga? There was no saga. News is breaking that Rodrygo won't leave Real Madrid unless his $300K a week contract is matched, which, you know, we're not paying that. Let's be real. But he's staying. And he was always going to see. Oh my gosh, I'm not the only one. So this is what I saw, you guys, earlier when I almost fainted. So he said the same thing. The first 6 words of this post almost made me faint. He literally, Jurriën Timber has had an ACL. That almost killed me. This is what I saw earlier when I was so scared. I was like, what's going on? I'm so scared. It was crazy. Lucas Vasquez is going to Leverkusen. Interesting. Goodness. Orts was not good today, but it won't matter. It won't matter because they won ultimately. Let's see. But yeah, this is pretty much all we really know so far. So let's see if it materializes. But I really hope this doesn't mean that Ben White is dealing with a bigger injury than we knew about. Like that. Newcastle, I'm going back to hating you today. Like, I'm going back to hating you right now because you ruined my evening. Scoring multiple goals in a game more often would be good. We score 1 goal or less in 18 out of 38 Premier League games last season, nearly halved, and actually created in abundance consistently. Yeah, I think obviously last season was, I think, a wake-up call when it came to the attack. I feel like there were red flags the season prior, but we came into this insane form at the end of the season, like post Dubai, the season prior. And I wouldn't say it papered over the cracks, but it showed the best of us. But we were playing so well. We need to be able to score 2 goals, 3 goals when we're not playing at our best. And we were playing at our tippy top best in that time, and we were damn near perfect. But the next season, we had players missing. We weren't really clicking as well, and we started to see the goals dry up a lot more. And so I think Arsenal learned that first of all, they needed a goal scorer. I don't care what anybody says. I know some people are, well, left wing was more important. I do think left wing and or another attacker was super important. Getting a real striker we needed that. I'm sorry. The false 9 and all of that and playing a midfielder up front and all that shit needed to die years ago, but whatever. Now, we upgraded our attack in multiple ways, back up to Saka, Eze, and Gyökeres. So hopefully, even when we're not playing at our tip-top best, we'll be able to score multiple goals, which is hopefully what Eze will bring for us. And listen, we were not at our best against Leeds to me, but we still were able to score 5 goals, and that was important, So, yeah, he can stay on Madrid's bench, can't hurt us there. And then again, we own Real Madrid anyway, so we need to go to Anfield and show we can win the game mentality. I'm not having that we're playing for a draw and not lose game mentality. Sunday is going to be it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot. But this is the first time in a long time I feel like almost excited to go to Anfield because I feel like we can do something, win and or get something, even without Saka and Odegaard. Yeah, I think so. As long as Arteta does not start Martinelli, do not do it. I know you're going to be tempted because defensive and all that shit, but start Eze. Start Eze. Just do it. We don't need to play the overly tactical overthought. Just go chaos for chaos. Go chaos for chaos. Just do it. There's no reason to do the Martinelli. Let's see. or Madueke. I mean, I would start Madueke. I'd start Madueke and Eze. I'd start Eze on the left and Madueke on the right and Gyökeres through the middle. And if Odegaard can't play, I'm starting Ethan, Zubimendi, and Rice and going about my merry way. Let's go. Like, why not? Let's do it. Let's go chaos for chaos. They're not perfect. We don't need to be perfect. We don't need to be so scared to concede that we play Martinelli just for defensive whatever. I don't think, but maybe Arteta will feel differently, which I'm sure he will. We have won twice at Anfield since 2009. Last time we won there was when Cazorla and Podolski scored and Diaby had that performance. What Martinelli needs to start, we need his pace. Okay. Martinelli always scores against them. Okay. If you guys need him to start because he always scores against them, then fair enough. But if he doesn't score this time, I wouldn't be surprised. I just don't believe. I'm not a believer, but whatever. I would start Eze and start strong with a team that they have never seen. So they're going to be confused. They'll know how to plan for Martinelli. And I'll tell you this right now. If Szoboszlai starts at right back and Martinelli cannot beat him, I'm going to lose my cookies because I was losing my shit. Harvey Barnes looked like me out there trying to beat Szoboszlai. He's not a natural fullback, and you didn't get past him once. So if Martinelli can't get past Szoboszlai, we all know Eze ain't starting. He should. He turns into prime R9 when he hears Liverpool. He better. We need not play like against United with or without Saka. It doesn't matter if we do. Martinelli can be a super sub. Don't forget about Merino. Where does he fit in all of this? I mean, again, I wouldn't be surprised if the Leeds game was an indication of Martinelli and Merino being used against Liverpool, making sure that they're rested so that they can be fresh for that game. But I'm not really feeling a Martinelli, Merino starting forward line with Madueke on the right. It's not giving what it needs to give, but I wouldn't be surprised. It's Arteta at the end of the day. No think if you would not start Gabriel Martinelli, so underrated. Do y'all want to start Martinelli? Fair. He probably will start. He's not underrated. Martinelli hasn't been good in 2 years, no credit in the bank. I mean, he's so good against Liverpool. Okay, and then he starts, but I would just go in a different direction. But I can see him starting. I can see, if Arteta was planning on starting Kai, he gave Gyökeres the full 90 against Leeds. He was going to start Kai, so retroactively he'll start Merino to get the same vibe going. He scored against them last season, and he was abysmal. Listen, all he has to do is score against Liverpool, and that means that he gets to start. If that's what y'all want, fair enough. That's not what I would do. Arteta's going to do what he wants to do. It's not what I would do. So, just if you start a front three of Eze, Gyökeres, and Madueke, who plays Cam, not Wanyeri, for Christ's sake. He was full against Leeds, and we were at home. The game one, no pressure, Dauman maybe. The fact that you would include Dauman but not Ethan is strange to me because Ethan has way more experience and has played in way more games for us. He's played in Europe for us. He's played in away games for us. So endowment shouldn't even be a conversation. But yeah, the player that they made a big song and dance about being Odegaard's backup should probably play when Odegaard's not available. I just think it's all bullshit if you don't start Ethan. And he wasn't awful against Leeds. Ethan was not awful against Leeds. He had a good game. He wasn't perfect, but you don't expect him to be perfect. I don't know how we expect this player to become somebody that we can trust in Odegaard's absence by not playing games when Odegaard is out. I don't get it. But, you know, it's what I would prefer Ethan in the 10, a true 10 position with a double pivot of Rice and Zubimendi, with Eze on the left, Gyökeres through the middle, and Madueke on the right. Martinelli doesn't have any chemistry or anything with anyone. So it's not like you'd be losing some sort of chemistry. He has no chemistry with anyone. So, you might as well just go with the best players and let them vibe. But, I do anticipate Martinelli starting. We'll see, how he does, if he does start. I have low expectations. Can Ethan really play in the 10 against Liverpool at Anfield? We literally just watched Liverpool play. Was there anything about that performance from them against Newcastle that makes you think that Ethan's going to get ate up? They don't have any physical monsters. They're not going to run past him. It's going to be McAllister and Wirtz and Gravenberch. When are we going to get over the Ethan needing to be babied all the time? You guys want to start Marino in the 10? What? Because you guys people are saying they don't want to start Eze. Do you want to start Eze in the 10? I don't know. But I want to do whatever's possible to make sure that the front line is as dangerous as it could possibly be. And Ethan is the only other player that's played in Odegaard's position consistently. So he's the natural person that I would choose instead of trying to find a Band-Aid to keep him out of a big game, because we're so scared to play him. Like, I don't understand why we're so afraid to play somebody that was literally called Odegaard's backup all summer. But whatever. We'll see what Arteta's going to do. Maybe he'll start Eze in the 10 and then play Martinelli and Gyökeres and Noni. The only person I know for sure is Noni. That's it. Everything else can be different in the 10, left wing and center forward. So we don't really know. But I trust Ethan, and I would prefer him to play the position that he's meant to be playing when the person that he's meant to be backing up is not available. It's not a good message to send. Let's see. Seeing people give Gyökeres shit for hair flick celebration, saying he's rattled after one game. Don't agree, though. Thoughts? No, I just don't think people can handle getting shit back. I think people can give it, but they can't take it. And because they were so emotionally invested in Gyökeres flopping and him scoring that brace took them over the edge, that they have to find something to make it about anything other than he's just making fun of you back. You were making fun of him, so he made fun of you back. There's something about this league that has a really strange relationship with fun, laughter, and banter. They can always give it, but they can't take it. And if somebody that they don't like gives it, they have a conniption. See Miles Lewis-Skelly doing Holland's celebration that ended up in them trying to paint him into being some thug and needing to humble himself because he'd never won anything before. No. It just has to do with people they're never able to say fair play. There's never when Arsenal or an Arsenal player or whatever has a moment, there's never a fair play Arsenal. It's, oh my God, Eze's whole thing, his announcement, it was so cringe. Oh, Gyökeres, so cringe. Oh, Arsenal, they over-celebrate everything. They're so cringe. Oh, Arsenal, they're so emotional. So cringe. Oh, it's constant. So no, I don't agree. Gyökeres saw the shit that people were talking and he bantered them back and they literally can't take it. And it's just not that serious. Let's see. Jess, I think people have an agenda against Nwaneri because some Arsenal fans think he's better than Odegaard. I mean, I think people have an agenda against Nwaneri because some Arsenal fans think he's better than Odegaard. Well, no, I think they don't actually rate Ethan as highly as they say they do. They just only want to use Ethan as a pawn to perpetuate their agenda against Odegaard. But when it comes down to it and it's time to play Ethan, they always have an excuse why you can't play. But in theory, like when we're playing against lesser sides or when we're, just, it's preseason or, they're doing think pieces, they're always so complimentary and so excited to watch Ethan play. But when it comes down to it, they don't ever want to see him play. He's not ready. And we had this conversation last season. I'm like, you guys said that you felt like Odegaard should get dropped for Ethan. But as soon as it came down to it and there was an opportunity, you guys were, oh, no, maybe he shouldn't play. Too big of a game, too much to do, too much of this, too much of that. As somebody who is in, like, I am one of Odegaard's biggest fans and, whatever, you guys know I back him. If Ethan plays better than him, then Ethan should play. And if Ethan's his backup, he should definitely play when he's not there. And I don't see this whole, like, he could just never play. Like, is it too big? Is it this? Is it that? We need to paper over him and give the position to somebody else because we don't trust him all of a sudden. You either rate him or you don't. And I think I rate Ethan higher than other people, but I just don't see how he's going to get up to who we want him to be without playing the position, rain or shine, but this is not his first season. So would I trust him at Anfield? Yes, I would, with a team full of experienced players that, they're going to be, you're playing with Declan Rice and Zubamendi for fuck's sake. It's not like you're going to have a midfield full of players that have never played together and or at all at Arsenal. So that's just how I think of it. But at the same time, I could be wrong and he could play at Anfield and have a bad game, but I'm also okay with him having bad games while learning. It was Arsene that said that when you play young players, you have to, understand that things are going to happen. But Arsenal fans kind of want it both ways. They want Dowman and Ethan in the team when it's convenient, but when it's really time to utilize them, they don't want them because they're afraid that they're going to make mistakes. But it's like, of course they're going to make mistakes. But that also doesn't mean if you make mistakes, you're going to lose as well. There were tons of mistakes made today by Liverpool players. That didn't mean that they had to lose. So mistakes don't mean you lose. Playing players that are young doesn't mean that you're going to naturally drop points. It just means that maybe the job is a little bit harder, but I'd rather see him than Marino or Trossard struggling in that position. But we'll see. We'll see. And again, if you say that somebody is Odegaard's backup and at the first time that Odegaard is injured, you do not play him, it looks very, very, very funny. It doesn't look right. We're so scared of mistakes. It's fucked up. But then also when Ethan was playing against Leeds, he made a mistake, but that mistake ended up setting up an opportunity for Saka to score. And so, yeah, he lost the ball, but it's just strange. Like, I don't know, but I don't know. I feel like Saka's absence is a big letdown. Him just being there will scare Liverpool. Remember when Asensio and Vasquez was doing all the work, but opponents were worried about CR7? Fair enough. I hope Odegaard recovers. I have watched Leeds. The difference between Nwaneri and Odegaard, it's large right now. I thought Ethan did well. But it just depends. I think some people felt like Odegaard was really poor and Ethan was really good. And I kind of think that, Odegaard wasn't as good as I wanted him to be, but he also had good moments. But I also thought Ethan played well. But I don't have an agenda, so I'm not pushing anything. But if you say that Ethan is Odegaard's backup, then he needs to play when Odegaard is not there, or it just looks like you just said nothing. The stadium is possessed. The mistakes fuel their confidence. We have to control everything and let them hit us on the counter. If they pin us in, we're dead. Who? Liverpool? I can't remember the last time Liverpool pinned us in. When is the last time Liverpool pinned us in? Mistakes happen. in football, and we need to get used to making mistakes and recovering, which is probably something that's taken root in Arteta's team over the last 2 seasons, this fear of mistakes, this fear of giving up the ball, fear of conceding, um, and the inability to put that behind you and recover from there. I think obviously you want to try to mitigate mistakes as much as possible, but they should not end things. They should not be the end of the world. So, yeah. Um, but it's the end of the world for us, apparently. I predict Eze will make his debut at home against Nottingham Forest in a fortnight. Winieri wasn't bad against Leeds. I think some Arsenal fans are forced push agenda. I think people over, like overdid it with Ethan's performance and said it like saying that it was like this transformative and we just played so much better with him instead of Odegaard. But equally, I don't think it was bad either. I actually thought it was two things can be true at the same time. That it was a good performance, but it wasn't anything like groundbreaking. But I was just happy to see Ethan getting onto the keeping things ticking along a little bit more than he usually does. Because most of the time when he plays in the central position, I feel like he plays it like he's the winger, but he needs to be more of a midfielder getting on the ball in that position. And I felt like he kept it ticking along, which is something that's required in that position for Mikel, So I actually think he had a good game. I just don't think it was this transformative thing, but I had fun in the 5-0, so it is what it is. People were begging for Arteta to give youth a chance, and now they don't want them to get big game experience. Can't have it both ways. Especially when I think about the way that we play. And Odegaard's out, and that means that it's going to be the right-hand side that's impacted. I know people think we play with a number 10, like a traditional number 10. We don't. We play with 2 8s and a 6. And so unless Arteta changes things up, unlikely. Even if the player that plays right center mid plays more central, they are going to have to take up a lot of the role on the right-hand side. And so to me, Eze is a left-sided player, and he's going to be best for us knitting together things on the left-hand side. And we really won't see the benefit of Eze if we stick him on the right and leave the left-hand side broken. And that's why I'm really happy about the Eze signing, is because he's going to help fix the left-hand side. That's just so – all teams have to do is make sure that you can't get the ball to the right winger. That's all they do, is make sure can't get it to the right winger. And then we have emphasis to try to play on the left, and there's nothing there. So I feel like that's why I'm really interested in Eze being on the left, and why I'm okay with Ethan on the right. But, maybe Arteta surprises us and changes everything up. Bro, we have to win to slay demons. If we want to win the league. Games like this are monumental. I think we know that, though. I feel like everybody understands the importance of the game, but that doesn't change the fact that mistakes happen, that we're not going to be perfect in every single game, and that we should anticipate giving up the ball, making mistakes, conceding. We have to control every single element and not make any mistakes is the exact reason why we don't maybe see the results that we should in those bigger games at times, like mostly against like at Liverpool away or the Etihad in particular, because we don't take enough risks and we don't try to attack because we're so afraid to make a mistake. And we're just like, oh my God, I'm scared to make a mistake. And I feel like the more relaxed we are and the more we play our game, the better it will be. But that's just me. Sometimes it does need to just be a game. And I think, I guess I want to get your guys' opinion on this, but this season, even the big games, as important as they are, I want it to feel more like we're excited to go into those games rather than we're so scared that we're going to fuck it up so that we're like all tight and shit. Sometimes it does just need to be a game, and even if we don't beat Liverpool away from home, that doesn't mean that the world is ending. but it feels like even early on in the season, everything is hanging on a balance. And like, if it's not perfect, it's done. And I don't know if that's how we shouldn't be holding on the way that we're holding on, but yeah. What are you guys doing? What are they doing? Why are they running around? Why are we going for a right back? I don't know. We'll find out sooner rather than later. I mean, Santi J is not any bum. He is a pretty good journalist, and I would say he's below like Ornstein, but he's probably on the Ben Jacobs kind of tier. Sorry. So yeah, we just need to wait and see, but the only way that I see us getting a right back is maybe if something happened to Ben White potentially. So, yeah. If we fuck it up, Arteta will be at fault as usual, not Wanyeri. So it's his decision, his head. No point in me keep blabbering. Which, yeah, I mean, it is what it is, but I don't see Ethan as a single point of failure in a game against Liverpool when neither team is perfect. It's, but in a game where we'll have Ethan, they'll have Soboslai at right back potentially. So, nobody's perfect. Let's see how it goes. I think we will play Martinelli on the left and Eze in the middle and Madueke on the right-hand side. I could see that as well, potentially. We'll see what Arteta does. We've rocked up to the Bernabeu and bossed them. Gyökeres will be key. And that team was not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. But that's assuming that Gyökeres will start. Marino not playing is making me like, because one thing I know about Marino is even if we don't like him, Arteta loves him down, and he would be the natural replacement for Kai Havertz at center forward. I'm keeping my eye on that one. It can't be a basketball match. We don't have the same attacking synergy as Liverpool to sustain that style of play, even with the new signings. I mean, it can't be a basketball match, but it also cannot be us holding onto the ball for dear life, losing it, and them just going down there and scoring as well. There needs to be a healthy balance, but we also need to be confident that even if we lose it, we can win it back and we can rest a little bit and not be so tight. I don't like when we go into big games against Liverpool at times, maybe not so recently, but sometimes away at Anfield, at the Etihad, where we are so fucking tight that we don't attack at all because we want our, basically our wingers do fullback shifts. And when we're just letting them just kind of conduct business while we just try to kick the ball out to no one because we don't have an outlet. I really don't want to see that. I don't think either one of Liverpool or City in where they are right now require us to be so scared that we don't play our game. I think that's all I don't want to see. Of course, we have to be smart and players need to track back. And I'm not saying don't track back, but there's sometimes where we're like, there's nobody up front. There's nobody to kick the ball to. We're just defending. Saka's playing right back, basically. It's dark. I don't really want it to be like that. I don't think this Liverpool side or the City side require us to do that. People hating on Ethan were the ones panicking the most when Chelsea rumors dropped. Martinelli should not start at Anfield, start Eze on the left and Madueke on the right. I'm not sure if Ethan is ready, but better give him a chance in the 10 role if Odegaard is not going to play. That's what I would do, but there's going to be a completely different lineup out there. I do feel less worried about Sunday than in the past. That's how I feel. I'm not dreading it the way I was dreading Old Trafford, but that's because it's a bogey place for us. And yeah, Anfield is not a great place for us, but it's them and they're disgusting. And yeah, I hate them. But I feel not like like, yeah, 100% we're gonna win, but I feel not like I'm dreading it the way that I usually would going to Anfield. And to be fair, I haven't dreaded going to Anfield for a couple seasons now. The last time I was like, "Oh my gosh, I just don't wanna go there," was probably 22, 23. But this is the first time that I feel like almost like, "Yeah, yeah, like, let's go," like, because we're gonna be good, so let's see. Declan Rice and Zubimendi will make the difference in this game against Liverpool. Front three and defense are similar, good, but our midfield and Raya will make the difference in this game. I feel like watching them today, Liverpool, is obviously they'll have McAllister instead of Curtis Jones. So that'll switch things up. But there's a little bit of a lightweightness to their midfield that I feel like we should feel confident that we can, win some of those battles and we're not going to get overpowered. And there's not anybody in that midfield that I fear running straight through us. Like, when we play Newcastle or we play Aston Villa, there's always this element of like one of them just getting the ball and just running through our midfield. I don't really get that sense. It's going to be a difficult midfield battle for sure because they have technical skill and lots of that kind of stuff, but so do we, so yeah, there's always something about Anfield. It's like they get some type of power whenever any big team goes there. We do really have a big chance to beat Liverpool at Anfield. They are conceding goals for fun. I don't want to go there and not score any goals for sure. No, I am very worried about Anfield. The worst worry thus far without Saka and Odegaard. Your Did Xhaka Wake Up Anfield video always come up on my page. I thought about that the other day. I did not really like that whole thing. He woke them up and he should have just been smarter because I feel that was very much so like a blame it on Xhaka situation where you're at a big ground against a big team. You make a tackle against Trent Alexander-Arnold. You're gonna expect, this whole element of we needed to keep them quiet and just play softly and nicely was just a little bit like you want to blame it on Xhaka instead of just blaming on the fact that we were crumbling, because we had crumbled the game prior to that as well. And it was just the case that we got a little bit of pressure put on us by Liverpool, and that team had the mentality of a Ritz cracker. They just crumbled so quickly, so I remember that, and I was like, as much as I'm not the biggest Xhaka fan, this whole waking up Anfield bullshit was very much so concocted, I feel like, by people that wanted something to say about Xhaka because he had been enemy number one for so long, and I'm just like, grow up. Waking up Anfield, really? Like, all right. Depends on the Calafiori-Salah matchup. Also, Anfield will be on Zubimendi after last summer, going to need to win the midfield battle, and Gyökeres needs to bully Virgil van Dijk and Konate. This is the type of game where the ref will do us dirty. Brace yourself. I do expect to get a home cooking. Well, we always get a home cooking there, so nothing really changes. The pressure is on them to win their home match. I want us to have a big win Sunday, but after the result, there will be 35 more Premier League matches for us. It won't decide the league either way. I think David has a good point that we want to win because we want to make this huge statement and we feel like they're weakened. But, the equation to win the Premier League has never changed. You need to beat the small teams home and away. And then when you come up against your big six, you want to beat them. But your title contending people, you want to make sure that you don't lose away from home, but you beat them at your spot. And so I'm not saying play for a draw, but I'm just saying that like the impetus is on them to win that game because they know that coming to the Emirates is difficult. So yeah, as long as we put our best foot forward, I feel like we'll get something for sure. I smell a pen in favor of Liverpool. They just going to Anfield is like you just know that you're getting a home cooking. Going to St. James, home cooking. Going to Anfield, home cooking. Going to Old Trafford, home cooking. It's always the case where because the referee even today was getting flustered by the fans and was losing control, and I thought he was also losing control at Old Trafford as well. He's weak as fuck. He cannot ref the game at Anfield. I don't know who we got, but it can't be him. He was shook. Silky Zuby in the 6 to keep us ticking. You know why I worry? I'm worried Arteta won't even start Eze. That is my biggest worry. Eze doesn't know anyone. He has only this week to get to know Arteta and his colleagues. It's hard. It's a hard choice. Yeah, no, I hear that. I get that. I just you know, he knows the league well enough. And to be like honest, none of our attackers or attacking combinations know each other very well outside of Saka, Havertz, and Martinelli. And you can't play that right now because 2 of them are injured. So you're just shaking it up. You're just shaking the dice up front, essentially. You can, do Martinelli and Marino and play it safe. You have Madueke coming in, you have Gyökeres, you have Eze. Essentially, no one has any real relationship with each other. It's all going to be about vibing, really, because none of them, you're not going to have the Odegaard combination with Saka. Like, it's very much so going to be like a roll of the dice. So Arteta has Eze now. He's announced he's good to go. This week, he could essentially just start playing him at left wing or wherever he wants to play him and just start him, because there's nobody really knows each other like that. You have 3 new attackers, 2 of your main guys are out. So, like, what is there really to be holding on to? Nobody knows each other for real. So, yeah. Depends on whether Eze is also playing. For me, confidence going into it will be massively different with him in the 11 versus not. I think he'll play Lewis Skelly in this game. I feel like he is a better defender than Calafiori, and we will need that in this game. I want us to win the Premier League this season. The same ref who gave everything in Man U's favor, he was just so jarring. The fortunate thing is that Eze played up until last week with CP, so he is still match fit. Simon Cooper, one of the worst refs in the Prem, complete bozo. Hooper, you mean? Yeah, he was losing it badly today for sure. But listen, we've talked about what we needed to talk about. This has been a lot longer than it should have been, which I'm okay with because I love talking to you guys. But I need to get ready for a Love Island reunion. And there's nothing really else to really say about this offer for Arnau Martinez, except for we just need to wait and see how it goes. So make sure you guys like the video and subscribe to the channel. Unless something breaks between now and 6 p.m. tomorrow, you'll probably see me next, like tomorrow at that time, unless something breaks. So yeah, but make sure you guys like and subscribe on your way out, and we'll talk tomorrow. Love y'all. Bye.